Watch nature, Victor Schauber said. Nature is our greatest teacher. And he spent a lifetime watching the salmon, the fish in the mountain streams. How can a fish subject itself to the pressure of moving water from a mountain stream and stay perfectly still? Well, the fish knows something we don't know. It's working with energy and with forces. And he discovered, how do you get heavy logs from the mountaintop down into the valley? Building these wooden chutes filled with water, and he discovered if temperature of the water is at 4 degrees above, it has to have a certain coolness. The heaviest logs will float in the water. Nobody had figured that out. He did it all by observing nature. Nature has all the answers. Watch nature, Victor Schauber said.
People are going insane over these sightings of walking trees. Check it out.
If you measure the electricity at your bed head, you will see it is crazy. That interferes with your sleep. Pulling your bed away from the wall, literally 12 to 18 inches, and turning your Wi-Fi off, and putting your phone on airplane mode and charging it in another room, you will see a big win in your sleep, for sure. I have tested this hundreds of times with many people. It's simple, it's free, do it.
They're finding pyramids that are older than the Egyptian pyramids and larger. Croatia, Romania, Bulgaria, in that area. One of the archaeologists, he takes tourists below into the pyramid, and the energy sensitive people are feeling all sorts of wonderful things down in these tunnels underneath the pyramids. They think there's some really huge pyramids they photographed with aerial photography and satellites in Antarctica. Huge. So pyramids have been with us for thousands and thousands of years. We're just Johnny-come-lately on this planet, and we think we're number one. We're not. There were civilizations hundreds of thousands of years ago.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's, where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Before about the future, it's not very far off the horizon that if we don't get one disease under control, you may find legislative bodies taking whole classes of people based upon propensity of conduct to say, we're going to put you in a certain category. We're going to demand mandatory testing for you.
So was Joe Biden a conspiracy theorist? Because he was talking about a conspiracy theory.
Look, I think that everyone is going to have to take a hard look at where they want to be at this moment in history, as we're looking at efforts across the country to prevent people from being able to exercise their fundamental rights. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Look, I think that everyone is going to have to take a hard look at where they want to be at this moment in history, as we're looking at efforts across the country to prevent people from being able to exercise their fundamental rights. Go ahead.
Wait a minute.
You can't tell me shit like that, don't you? You can't tell me. You cannot tell me. Like, stuff like that is not like, wow.
It talks about the mark of the beast, and it says it will be in their forehead. It does not mean it's a microchip. It literally means that people are functioning from the reptilian cortex of their brain. And the reptilian cortex is the lower beast energies. It's not the energies of ascension. It's activated through fear. All of this is being thrown at us to keep us from ascending out of the reptilian cortex of our brain. And when it says in the Bible, they will be raptured and taken into the clouds, it does not mean that they're actually going to fly up into the clouds. It means that the frequency of those who are doing the self-work will ascend, and they will be above all that chaos, all the disease, all the fear. They will be flying above it. These are all codes. This is all symbolism.
People we spoke with say they were happy that something is being done, but this is something that they've been asking for since day one. So for them, this is about 1,000 days too late. Now, Nariman, looking at after the day, families are pushing the feds to. Sorry, Nariman, I'm not feeling very well right now, and I'm about to.
Okay, we'll come back to me right now, and we'll make sure that, Jessica, you are doing okay. Thank you. We will make sure that Jessica is okay. And we will give you guys an update a little bit later to make sure that she is doing all right. She is not alone. She is with
or inflammation of the heart muscle after receiving an mRNA COVID vaccine. A CDC safety group says the heart condition in adolescent and young adults is linked to the shot.
CDC now looking into reports of heart problems in young vaccinated teenagers.
Now, chest pain, fluttering, and heart inflammation are among some of the new side effects announced by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, observed in some people who have received the Pfizer and Moderna vaccine.
Ending up with inflammation around the heart, causing chest pain and shortness of breath. Myocarditis is noted by the Canadian.
Lie. Well, folks, once again, flat earthers were correct. We told you that the maps are a lie. The view of the Earth is a lie. There's more land masses out in the ocean. There's more land masses outside of Antarctica. 7,000 new islands discovered. Well, folks, once again, flat earthers were.
As of today, a bank or other financial service provider will be able to immediately freeze or suspend an account without a court order. As of today.
What have you contributed to the world?
I'm not sure if you're aware, but I created the world's most popular computer operating system.
No, of course. But as we all know, it wasn't actually you who created it. As a matter of fact, the predecessor of Windows, MS-DOS, was created by Gary Kildall, which you then basically stole from him for a couple of dollars.
It's not just development. There's a whole lot of important factors to running an enormously successful company like Microsoft.
So then let's leave the computer world for a moment. You have been a major spokesperson for COVID vaccines during the pandemic.
Yes.
What exactly makes you a computer engineer who didn't even program his initial product himself, a valid representative of the pharmaceutical industry?
I have read a lot of books about that topic.
Yes, but how does that...
Wait a second. And met with specialists from the field all over the world.
Mr. Gates, with all due respect, how do you feel about it now? Now that it's becoming more and more evident that the medication you were promoting, whilst having heavily invested in it yourself, thus making billions of it.
This is not how the world works.
Has caused countless injuries, side effects, and death.
That's a very immature way of looking at it, quite frankly.
So here's my final question to you. Is this a behavioral pattern?
What do you mean exactly?
Taking technology from other people that you don't understand, selling a product full of bugs, causing massive damage, and profiting from it in a spectacular...
They look like they're sitting in water up there. And when you go into, when you educate yourself on you know, our tribes, our oral traditions and stuff that we learn within our tribes, you learn that these are frequencies up there. It's not, they're not planets, but they're pronounced planet, a frequency, a dimension. The stars that we see that are twinkling, those are called luminaries. They're watchers. They're called the watchers in scripture and oral history. That's what they're called. They're literally like different angels in the different 13 realms of heaven. The ones that don't blink, that are just plain, those are called the wandering stars. Those are planets or dimensions. They're literally gods that they used to worship back then. Mars, Marduk, Saturn, Saturnalius, and so on and so forth, to the 9 lower realms.
How do you explain to people that the government is full of pedophiles and that our water is being poisoned with fluoride and heavy metals? Our food is fake, the weather is being manipulated, clouds are actually created to block the sun, and that chemtrails actually kill people. Our government actually stands for mind control. and that big events are actually staged to keep us distracted from the real truth. Artists and people of power actually practice rituals at these events without the fans actually knowing. When a doctor gives you a shot, he actually gets a bonus. Now, they don't do that for chemotherapy, so why do they do that for vaccine shots? And that war in our military is actually used to decrease the population. Yeah. How do you explain that to people? With fluoride and...
Saw a mermaid.
Really? When?
In Seychelles, Africa. Me and this little French boy, and they said, don't swim in the lagoon after dark. Everybody's up at the bar. So me and him go down, me and him get in the water. From a distance, you see something coming like a fucking missile. But it's going it's going fast, and we both kind of stop. And then it turns and it jumps out of the water. And it's maybe at least 10, 12 feet long, man. And look at both of us and go, whoa. Didn't make a splash or nothing. And it wasn't like a mermaid. Didn't look feminine at all.
Look at a man.
A fucking man.
Really?
A fucking dude who said, get the fuck out the pool. He had, the back of him was fish. His head was humanoid. Eyes about so big. The lagoons of Seychelles. I ain't the first person to see some shit.
Really?
In them water. So.
An Illinois high-altitude balloon hobbyist group that uses balloons like these has now come forward to say that their balloon, which they were using to float ham radio transmitters, went missing. It was last spotted over the Yukon Territory in Alaska on the same day that the U.S. government shot down an unidentified object of similar description, altitude, and location with a Lockheed Martin F-22. So there is a non-zero chance that the U.S. government used a $400,000 missile to shoot a ham radio transmitter on a $12 balloon out of the sky.
Do you know those angels that have been called the fallen angels?
We see no fallen angels. That's a concept that humans have made out of the good and bad thinking.
So we didn't have Satan at the time?
That's an imagination of people doing bad things, isn't it? So there had to be a name given it, and unfortunately, it has been given to one of our own.
Who is still with you?
Yes. You call him Lucifer, but he is a very light angel, not a fallen angel. Satan is the evil you see in the world. The dichotomy of good and bad and evil have been man-made thoughts. God is not a punishing God. It is a solid state of unconditional love, and would not send those who would harm, only to enlighten.
Have you met God?
Yes.
What is God?
Solid state of unconditional love. It is not one who sits on a mountain with white hair and a long beard, demanding one be smitten or one be saved. It is not that. You all have the power of God, the Creator, that is you. You are made in that likeness. It is the beliefs of not being that that has harmed you.
Why is there so much evil on this planet? And there is evil.
That is coming from beliefs of not being good enough.
But
unworthy.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to give you 48 years of study. I'm going to give you a secret. Nothing in this world is what you think it is. Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Nothing operates the way you think it does.
What do you mean?
Government does not work the way you think it does.
It's not about people voting for a president.
No, it has nothing to do with that. We're talking money. We're talking control, corporations, big business, period.
It's all big business and money.
Period.
Yeah.
End of sentence. Now, religion is a corporation. It's all the religions of the Western world, especially in the Western world, all religions operate under maritime admiralty law. So there are certain...
What do you mean maritime admiralty law?
Maritime admiralty is the law of water. And I talk a lot about this in the past. I'm going to talk a lot about it in the future.
Okay.
There are only two things on the earth, on this earth, land and water.
Right.
So there are two kinds of law, the law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land is the custom of the people who live on a particular piece of land. So the law of the land is different in every country.
Right.
I mean, you can do things in Russia you can't do in America.
Right.
You can do things in South Africa you can't do in China because it's the law of the land. That particular piece of land has their own custom. So the custom of the people living on a particular piece of land is called the law of the land.
Okay, got it.
But there is also a larger, far more important law on the earth. It's called the law of the sea, the law of the water. And when you get into, and then that law is referred to in courts as maritime admiralty. Maritime admiralty is the law of water. Once you understand the law of water, it opens up a world of occult hidden symbols and hidden foundations on how we live.
What are some of those laws that we're not aware of?
Oh my goodness! When you walk into a courtroom, why do you go to court? You play basketball on a court. You play tennis on a court.
Right.
Yeah. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. And so the judge walks out. He rules from the bench. Right. Look it up in a Latin dictionary. The word bench is a bank in Latin. And so the judge is ruling for the bank. That's why he wears a black robe, because the black robe represents the planet Saturn, the god of banking and law.
At another object in the sky, there have now been 3 objects shot down in a week, and there were worries that a 4th might have been spotted in Montana.
In the year 2024, a global event will alter the course of mankind's future. The world will stand witness to a massive alien invasion. Thousands of projected holographic alien warships will blanket the skies, sending people into a global panic. Real military crafts within the holograms will inflict actual damage to the surrounding areas to sell the gimmick. And as a result of the ensuing human chaos, a one-world government will immediately form without any resistance from the people. They will be the new world order. Once this happens, we as a people